In news from the aviation space today, we're in conversation with the man looking after the Indian subcontinent as far as Etihad Airways is concerned. Salil Nath is now joining me for a conversation. Salil, thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us here. There's lots happening as far as the aviation space is concerned, considering the fact we're seeing the trajectory post the pandemic. It has been a very aggressive recovery as far as the airline space is concerned. Specifically speaking, since you're taking charge as far as the Indian subcontinent is concerned, for India, how is the market looking post-pandemic, and what are your plans as far as the Indian market is concerned?
It's been unprecedented growth, right? And obviously backed by a lot of things, as I said in the summit now. The revenge travel demand just doesn't seem to be abating at all. Most of the forecasts had said that by H2 of this year it will go down, but it doesn't seem like for the next 1 year at least. Also, the supply chain constraints that are there in the global aviation ecosystem that will continue to impress upon stress upon the availability of aircraft as well as train cabin crew. So obviously it's a demand and supply. So when supply is less, demand is high, prices go up. Good for us as airline operators because it's great profitability, but the consumer obviously is under stress. So there needs to be some balance over there. India obviously is going to be the third largest aviation market as far as the forecasts go by 2024. This obviously is coming from a lot of places. The latest census showed us that 10% of the country has moved out of poverty. So only about 15-16% of the country remains below the poverty line, which means more people coming into the middle class, which means more disposable income, and therefore more airline passengers. A lot of potential in India. Latest numbers that I saw, only about 3% of the Indian population even has a passport. So even if that was to go up by a slight number, you can imagine the kind of cascading impact that would have on the airline. So huge potential for Etihad per se. It is one of our most strategic source markets. We are doubling down on India. Our fleet investment, our overall priority is India. And you can see us growing our capacity by leaps and bounds over here. We've increased our capacity by 54% over last year. We've just introduced Kolkata as a new gateway. We've doubled Ahmedabad, we've doubled Chennai. Cochin is almost double with 13 flights a week. And much more to come with our partners, Air Arabia Abu Dhabi, which is our strategic investment where we own 51%. Those are mainly used for the regional and the smaller cities, for the more price-sensitive customers. So lots happening for Etihad in India.
You've pretty much covered what I wanted to take on from. Your CEO, in fact, when speaking to our network a short while ago, had in fact said that they see a lot of potential in India. They see India becoming the third largest aviation market, say in the next 3 to 4 years. What is it that stands out in India vis-a-vis other aviation markets? As you said, a large section of the country is still untapped. So even with the numbers that we're currently looking at, those are doubling up for you really well. But why is Etihad so aggressive? Or why does it see so much promise as far as the Indian market is concerned, and more specifically as far as your expansion that got hindered because of the pandemic?
Right. So I think number one is our DNA as Indians, right, is resilience. I think the way India has bounced back after COVID, you would not see many examples of that across the world. And you're seeing effects of recession in US, in Europe, but India is continuing to grow with projections of 7 to 8% GDP growth, which is unparalleled across the world. I think, of course, the economic side of it is a no-brainer that would push us to invest in this market. Second is the spread as well, right? There's no country where we operate from 10 points in a single country. It's like a continent in itself. So while opportunities might go down at one place, they are coming on in some other place. So the spread itself is very, very enticing for us. And I mentioned some of the numbers to you, the population demographics, the youth of India. A lot of these things are encouraging us to invest more and more into India.
Okay. Now I'll talk to you specifically as far as what's happening with Etihad. Speaking post-pandemic, the A380 jumbos are back in the air. I believe the gap has been about 40 months. I did see a lot of congratulatory messages on Twitter by Heathrow Airport and others. How has that been? That would have been something that I'm guessing the management and those involved with the airline would have been waiting for a while. Why does it become so crucial?
Okay, the A380 is our flagship aircraft, right? And we're really happy to have it come back. Yesterday was the first aircraft that touched down in London, was our first commercial flight after COVID. A380 is crucial from many perspectives, right? Because it's our flagship, we can demonstrate our innovation in the product side. And it challenges a lot of other players in the industry to innovate in terms of the product, number one. There's clearly a pull from the customer side for that particular product. People are willing to pay a premium to travel on that aircraft. The premium experience, the business class, first class, we have 70 business class, 9 first class, and the residence, which is still unmatched by anybody else in the world.
Yeah.
It's on that aircraft. From a fleet perspective, A380 is crucial because it helps you get more passengers across to a slot-constrained airport, like London, or like some other slot-constrained airports in the world. So the 380 is actually really important. We've brought back 4 out of our 10 A380s that we own out of deep storage. There are plans to bring out the 5th one maybe.
Sure.
The discussions are going on, but that will be as a hot spare, not as active operations. A380 does have its constraints on the fuel economy side, so you need to be very careful where you use it because it has to also make financial sense, which is why all 4 of our A380s are right now going to be deployed on London, because financially it's making sense for us to deploy it on.
Okay, that's good to hear. That would have been my next question, to try and understand where the deployment would be. I just want to understand in terms of fleet again. Pre-pandemic, there were about 100. Because of the pandemic, it shrunk to about 70 aircraft. Where do the numbers currently stand, and how much are you looking to scale up?
Okay, so I'll address the numbers first. It's at 74 today.
Okay.
Without the A380s coming in. So the A380s will come in this year. So like I said, 4 and maybe 5, so we'll probably touch 80, which is a really good recovery within a span of about 1.5 years since the air bubble opened in April, right? Because India is one of our largest source markets. So that's where the numbers stand. But I think in conjunction with the number of the fleet, the efficiency of the fleet and the performance of the fleet is equally important. Having a very big fleet where aircraft is just sitting on ground with some of the other airlines without taking names is also not the ideal scenario, right? We believe that Etihad has one of the most advanced, modern, and ultimate in terms of efficiency is our fleet structure, because we've got a good mix of narrow bodies. We've got aircraft that can do mid hauls. We've got aircraft that can do long hauls with your Dreamliners and 777s, and at the same time slot constrained airports like A380. Most airlines bet on 1 or 2 aircraft where it's not very agile, but with us, the efficiency and the performance is equally important. You don't necessarily want to be the largest, but you want to be the best. That's our vision.
Okay. Couple of last questions, Salil. One, I want to understand as far as the consumer experience is concerned. Considering the fact the market is growing up, the demands of the consumers are also becoming very specific and possibly spoiled for choice as well. In terms of consumer experience, what is it that you want to add maybe this year around, as far as what you're already offering?
So one major change from a consumer experience perspective will be the new midfield terminal at Abu Dhabi Airport, right? Because our airport was due for a change. Our terminal was due for a change since a long time. Although the existing one was very quick to get in and get out because it was small, but from a capability perspective, it used to limit us. So from 2nd of December, that's when the scheduled go-live date of the new midfield terminal is, which is also the UAE National Day. That will come on, and this airport is built with technology underpinning the airport itself, right? Every single aspect of the airport, and you see a glimpse of it in the Mission Impossible 7 movie. We lended it to the team, and you can see Tom Cruise doing stunts all across the airport. So technology is the thing, to answer your question. You're going to have self-servicing portable kiosks across the airport, so that will reduce lines across the airport. The structure of the airport itself will mean you will have lesser walking around. Plus some of the innovations above the wing that we've done on our aircraft, for example, the A350. The business class seat itself feels like first class on most airlines because you have a privacy door. It almost becomes like a suite. You have wireless charging, which most features which you get in the first class of an airline, we are offering on the business class. So both above the wing and below the wing, there are a lot of technological innovations, I think, which the consumers will really appreciate.
Okay. Sir, lastly, I want to understand, business-wise, any plans of Etihad picking any stake as far as any other Indian airline is concerned? Because many would say the last experience has possibly burnt your hands.
Right. So currently we are focusing on our own growth, actually. We're one of the very few airlines, if you know the numbers, we've not exhausted our bilateral capacity
Yeah.
out of India. We still have 10,000 seats that are
10,000, yeah.
unutilized out of India. So we are currently focusing on doing our own stuff in India. That ties in with Air Arabia Abu Dhabi, where we can actually go to many different markets where we were not going right now. I think that's going to be the focus for us. But never say never. We constantly keep seeking new opportunities to grow our business, and if something comes up worthwhile, why not?
Okay, perfect. Salil, that's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for taking our time and joining us.
Thank you, Ridhima.